The Edible Spirit Hour. Yay! Thank you everyone for being here for another episode of the Edible Spirit Hour. Welcome, 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 coming to you live through the Ether network. Did you know that ether is the fifth element? It is not Mila Jovovich, in fact. The fifth element is ether. We got earth, we got air, we got water, we got fire. And when we combine them all together, it activates ether, space, the spirit, the space between. So believe it or not, we are using the connectivity of space to connect and share and heal and spend time talking about deliciousness. Things that are delicious, like feeling whole, developing your psychic powers, or I don't know, pie. Let's say pie. Pie is very healing. Pie is very delicious. Nothing wrong with that. Thank you for tuning into this show where each week we feature a special guest healer and their practice. Fuck you, notifications. Oh, that's Joe Biden. It's all right, Joe. I forgive you for interrupting our stream. Sorry, they're off now. We love to feature healers and their practices on this show. And most of the people that we've had on in the past couple months have been working a specifically healing practice, i.e. doing readings or doing healings or working with some kind of, insane, beautiful, powerful modality, an art practice, right? Divination, just all sorts of deliciousness. Our special guest tonight is a healer. Their deliciousness has healed yours truly many, many, many times over. But the real definition of a healer is one who uses, in our lexicon, is one who uses their gifts to support others in healing themselves by articulating what is in alignment, what is flowing, what is working, and helping them to forget everything that's not in alignment with their most loving, true, authentic selves. And believe it or not, our guest tonight, Briana Holt of Tandem Coffee Roasters, is a healer par excellence. She's joining us and sharing her love and sharing her deliciousness. And she's definitely using her gifts to put you in touch with what's true and what matters, because when you eat her stuff, kind of forget everything else that's going on in the world. But then when you come back and go about your day, it's like you have a little more moxie to do whatever you need to do here, right? To spread the love and continue to share the truth and illuminate the truth in others and keep healing yourself and pursuing deliciousness while you support others in healing themselves and pursuing deliciousness, right? There it is. Open book, full spread. That's what we're doing here. We love to start our show with a little segment that we call the F Me Update. This week's F Me Update, because it is such a deliciously food-inflected evening, we're going to start this F Me Update with just a little greatest hits of what we've been cooking. Oh, bastards. Okay. I hope you got the opening sound credit, but we'll see. Okay. So we're talking about what we've been cooking this week. We just got a beautiful, powerful boom tripod attachment. So we're going to be able to share with you our, culinary exploits. But for now, you're just going to get a little bit of a greatest hits. Okay. So first of all, we have right here, this is an open-faced apple and pear galette with an almond butter praline spread lusciously and lovingly along the bottom. And I thought I had ruined this and that it had exploded all over the place. And our wonderful guest healed me by saying, don't worry, babe. That's what happens when you cook an open-faced galette par excellence. Next, we have this kind of amalgam of, I think that's how you say it. Don't correct me. Or you can correct me. It's fine. I don't correct people when they don't pronounce things. Hi, Sue. It's good to see you. But this is basically fortified. It was made with store-bought chicken broth, some leftover sauteed cabbage and zucchini that I had, as well as a friend who brought over some super, super yummy smoked pork that they smoked on their barbecue for a really long time. I just took like 2 slices of that pork, thick ones, chopped them up into cubes, and reheated it and sort of fortified the broth with that smoked pork, and then added in this beautiful product, which we had never seen before, which were these like rice and millet ramen noodles. I can't remember who made them, but they heated up in that broth and just made like this gorgeous kind of quickie Vicky ramen. Next, we have the focaccia. Okay, this is like our baby bread effort. Briana's the baker. We are not, well, you know what? I'm not going to use negative languaging. We are working on baking. We bought a Paul Hollywood piece of linen so that we can practice our baguette skills. But for now, we're sticking with focaccia. I'm going to talk to Brie about what I did with this in a moment, which was didn't brush it with olive oil on top. Brushed that MF with butter. It was great. And then last but not least, we have these garlic motherfucking Parmesan motherfucking chicken wings. Roasted. They were just, I dressed them in lemon and dry herbs and salt and pepper, just what was in the kitchen. They were frozen, sitting in the freezer. Defrosted them, dressed them and that stuff, let them marinate for about an hour to just get like a nice base flavor, and then roasted them on parchment paper in the convection oven at like 450 for probably like 30, 40 minutes. I don't like undercooked chicken wings. They need to be crispy. So got them really crispy, threw them in the bowl and dressed them with melted butter that had garlic steeping in it for the whole time that they were in the oven. So about 30 minutes over really low heat. Tossed them with that garlic butter and then sprinkled the whole thing with Parmesan cheese with some, I think they were like sauteed potatoes, steamed and sauteed potatoes and Brussels sprouts in the BG. Well, that's what we ate this week and what we cooked this week. But, we're also here not just for the edible, but for the spirit. So big stuff happened this week. Really big stuff that we've been waiting for a really long time. So glad that we don't have to talk about Mercury retrograde anymore, because not only has Mercury been direct since election day, November 3rd, it went back into Scorpio on the 10th. So like there's a sense that whatever you were facing several weeks ago, you're kind of coming up to speed with now. But the big news was on the 12th was Jupiter conjunct Pluto. On the 13th, Mars went direct. And tonight, I guess it was early this morning, but today, November 15th, Sunday, maybe earlier if you're on the West Coast or west of here, new moon in Scorpio. Very exciting. And Mercury retrograde was also in Scorpio. So what we've been trying to explain to people is that Mercury retrograde in the middle of all the election chaos made us face scary things, either about ourselves or our careers or our families or our health or our daily routine or our hopes and dreams. Just made us kind of step into that space of and then now Mercury is direct in that same territory of Scorpio. So there's a little bit of we're not out the woods completely. It takes another few weeks for another couple weeks or so for Mercury to finish dealing with itself. But there's this sense that whatever you're kind of getting ready to like face or change or transform is important. And especially if you think there's something that's just kind of like always been there, it's kind of always been an issue, so why deal with it now? No. You might have to look a little bit for it. That's why Mercury retrograde in Scorpio showed us what we were afraid of, made us experience what we were afraid of or what was ready to change. And now it's like, you should have a somewhat working knowledge of what you're working with, right? Thanks to Jupiter Pluto, which was just a big expansion of growth and change and death. And like, P.S., if you were in a difficult or challenging state on the 12th, that Jupiter expansive energy and Pluto transformative energy might have made you feel a little worse and might still be making you feel worse. But like snakes scratch their skin off on trees because it's fucking itchy and annoying and they don't want to feel that way anymore. So don't be afraid of being itchy, because the 12th, the Jupiter Pluto conjunction on the 12th was like pushing us past our skin, making us chapped and chafy and tight. But if you're vibing high, Jupiter conjunct Pluto gave you like a cosmic steroid shot. I mean, maybe too soon, but cosmic amplifier. Oh my God, I'm changing. Everything's changing. Everything's healing. Everything's transforming. What the fuck? What's going on? What's going on? I've been exhausted all week, which is why I've been cooking so much. But now, tonight, November 15th, new moon in Scorpio. So you stand a chance to make good on, new moon's a great time to set an intention for what you intend to do for the next 2 weeks to a month until the full moon, and then really actually until the next new moon. So you're sort of setting the tone. And this is what we mean when we talk about living by the moon or living by the sun, is you just sort of ride the waves of the lunar ebbs and flows and the solar kind of transiting, right? The seasons and the tides, right? You synchronize with that. It doesn't matter who's squawking what in your ear. You connect to yourself, you know what's true. And then you realize you want one of Briana's biscuits, right? And that's actually all you need to heal completely. I'm telling you, I've been there. It's not weird. It happens like that. But tonight, November 15th, great time to set an intention. And this is the question we would offer you. What do I will to transform? What am I prepared to rally myself behind to transform? Not a little bit, not halfway, but completely. What am I fucking done with? What am I going to do differently? What am I never going to do again? Right? What do I will to transform? And, you know, it might take longer than a month, but when we work with these cycles, it's because the forces of the universe are ripe to support you in those intentions. Full moons are often a time to let go of things. But so this is a great way of explaining this kind of intention of a new moon, where it's like you're not letting go of things. You're so dramatically vowing to transform what's ready to transform that you can't carry anything else. You got to let some things go. So think of this new moon as an opportunity for you to be clear with yourself, your ancestors, your spirits, your loved ones about what you will to transform all the way unto completion. Edible Spirit, y'all, this is the hour. We are about to bring in our angel of a guest. I want to let you guys know right before we bring her in, if you want a reading from Edible Spirit, or if you have a question that comes up based on anything Briana's saying, you are very welcome to join us in the Zoom room. You can find the link to the Zoom room in ediblespirit.com on the sidebar, or on the Edible Spirit Instagram profile at Edible Spirit. In our link tree, there's a little link that says join the Zoom room. So you can just set yourself up in there, and when it's time for 1-900-DELISH, which is our reading portion, our call-in, because this is a psychic call-in food show, right? What could be better, where we get to talk about all things edible and spiritual? I mean, come on. So join us if you want a reading. But without further ado, let's bring in Briana Holt. Okay. Hey, Briana, dear. Bree is what I always call you.
That's right. That's what you call me. No one else calls me that. I only get to hear it. I only get to hear it when you say it.
Bree, you know, it occurs to me to share. Welcome to the Edible Spirit Hour. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much.
What does it feel like to be an Aquarius? Can I ask you a question about Aquarians?
Yeah.
Do you often experience a strong tie to tradition and fidelity, while at the same time experiencing like an unreasonable, even a logical need to like fuck shit up and change stuff?
Yes, I do. It happens. I'll tell you what, there are times where I feel that on a macro level, you know, about like, oh, like what is my place in the world as like a 40-year-old woman, or what is my place in my like family history. But I'll tell you that what it really does for me on a daily basis, that thing on a micro level, it's like interactions at work, or interactions between friends, or something logistical that happens in the world that's like, you know, a roadblock for me to get something done. And I'll just be like, well, it's supposed to be this way, you know, like I definitely experience that a lot.
Well, we'll talk more about your flow and your energy and your vibe when we get to do your aura pick in a little while. But I just want to share with everybody, we usually start by asking people, how are you healing? How are you healing yourself? You just shared a little bit of that with us, but I actually just need to just give a little shout out to the fact that you are an amazing baker at Tandem Coffee Roasters in Portland, Maine. Truly, truly gorgeous space in an old gas station and laundromat, right? What I want to just share here is your deliciousness, okay? This is a photo that I found from over the summer. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Okay, so I remember, really, so I was in Maine a bunch this summer, and every time I got to pass through Portland, I would go to Briana's place and eat as much of her delicious baked goods as I possibly could.
It was so nice to see you. It was so nice to see you.
It was really special, especially, and then I also got to see you on your, so this first one is from the summertime, and I believe this is a maple brown sugar pie up in the right.
Maple brown butter.
Maple brown butter, that's right, brown butter pie. And then down here on the left is strawberry.
Yep.
It's
basically strawberry. It's strawberry pie with a cornmeal crust.
That's why I was like, it wasn't strawberry rhubarb. It was just so fucking strawberry. And then these ones we ate like 6 of. This was like a shortbread, I think, with sesame on it.
Rye flour and then black sesame seeds on the outside.
Amazing. And then I know what this one was. This one was coconut chocolate chip scone.
Whoa, chocolate coconut.
Yep, chocolate coconut.
Dang. Forgot about that.
So this was over the summer, and then later in the year, you were one of the last parties I went to before lockdown in February. And we had this beautiful time, but most importantly, sorry, it was a big deal. It was your birthday. It was a big birthday. It was awesome, but really, it was amazing. But the takeaway was this fucking biscuit that had this mixture of goat and cow's milk cheese.
Yeah.
And some kind of honey drizzled through it. And was there like pepper on it? I feel like I remember.
So we make a hot honey. We steep honey, this really nice local honey with chilies overnight. Jesus. And then strain the chilies out. And then it goes on to the cheese and then lots of black pepper.
It was so good. And like
really good.
It was so special. It was just so special. I just had to share that because really it was like, you can see it. It still is affecting me. It's still affecting me. So this show is about healers and healing. But you and I have always used food to heal ourselves and heal others. But I want to ask, that's one thing I want to ask you. First of all, like bluntly, what do you make for yourself, or what do you cook, or what do you make when you need to feel better? Like, what are some of your remedies, or what are some of your comforts?
It's interesting. I definitely gravitate towards things that comfort me. It sort of depends. If I'll definitely look for something to coddle me, like that might be like trashy and bad for me, but like really fun to eat and like a short-lived pleasure. But I also take a lot of joy and healing from like really slowly and carefully making something like even not slowly, something simple. But I am a huge fan, at least in the summer, and it's not as much anymore without all the fresh vegetables, but my favorite thing to do to like calm down if I'm like really stressed out and I'm working a lot, this is so nerdy, is just eat like cottage cheese with olive oil and salt with like a couple of really tasty vegetables on the side. And it's like, it just makes me feel like I'm resetting my life, and it's like cold and not too salty and like creamy, and like I know people eat cottage cheese because it's healthy, but like I eat it because it tastes so good.
Yeah, that's not what it's for. Personally, cottage cheese is one of my deal breakers. It's like there's not a lot of things that I'm like, nope, no, thank you. cottage cheese, and I think you know this about me, but ricotta, panna cotta, and wait, what was the other one? Ricotta, panna cotta. What's the other blubbery, milky thing? Oh, burrata.
Burrata?
Burrata, ricotta, panna cotta. No thanks. And cottage cheese.
You don't like panna cotta?
Panna cotta I can get over, because with panna cotta,
it's delicious, sweet.
If it's tart, if there's some yogurt in there, some yogurt
in there.
You what?
You need the tartness.
I need the tartness. Otherwise, I feel like I'm eating like a broken breast implant.
I get it. I do. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I feel like we have more important things to do than this, but I just got to show you, and I just got to show the children one more thing. Do I have it here? Where is it? Where is she? Briana. Oh no, this one. Briana has a caricature. So
this is amazing.
Because Christopher Kimball of Milk Street is obsessed with Briana, loves her. She's obsessed with him. I'm obsessed with him. I've been obsessed with him forever, but he's been a fan of yours for a minute. And this was just a very cool article over there on Milk Street about Briana using bitters for baking. I just think that's so fucking cool that they did a caricature of you. I was not expecting that.
I need you to know that my dad had this blown up, printed, and framed as a gift for me for Christmas. My dad gave me this picture of myself framed for Christmas.
Where did you put it?
It's still at his house. I left it there.
Like, I'll be back. I'll get this on the next trip.
I promised I would get it when I came back. And then I didn't quite.
It's just the best. Hold on. Okay,
it's pretty cool. It's nice. It's nice to know that more people are learning that bitters can be used in cooking and baking.
Very chic. Now this thing, I want to see, I think this is going to share the sound for us, but I just wanted to show.
Oh, is this the...
So here's our finished cake, and now we're going to soak it. You want to let it cool just a little bit. If it's really hot and you soak it with this soak, it's all just going to go right through. Yep. Okay. So this is our soak. It's coconut milk and water and sugar, and you just want to microwave it for a minute or so until the sugar is dissolved. So what this is going to do is
also, they told me not to say microwave. Moist. I don't microwave things.
So we're just going to poke it all over.
Oh, really? You don't microwave it? I wondered about that.
These little holes in here, which is kind of fun.
Let me turn your volume down.
Poke and soak.
Poke and soak is literally what we say at the beginning.
So,
all right, so we poked it all
what
over.
obsesses me about this, was your hair like a little pink at this time?
Over.
No, I think that's just the lighting.
The
lighting there. It looked like a little rosy. Your makeup looked fierce. The recipe was incredible.
Cool,
did you make it? It's really good.
It out of the pan.
I'm gonna make it tomorrow because I've been wanting to make nothing but quick bread.
Sugar.
Oh yeah.
Coconut milk.
So I just wanted to show it just because it's so cute. I'm so obsessed with it. This is the final product. This was the coconut, toasted coconut, spelt.
That's exactly right. The fattiest part. Man. I have a plate and a fork here.
So the reason why I'm sharing it with everybody is because, one of the things that I think you do that is actually super healing is that you make weird stuff, but you can always sort of recognize where it's coming from or what it is. And like, I feel like your baked goods always give you a really solid nod to something very traditional. So I guess it was a little bit of a leading question I was asking you in the beginning, but I wasn't even doing it on purpose. It's like a little bit of hardcore tradition followed by like, and do you, and I love that you shared that thing too about like, you like to comfort yourself. I find, especially since I've been trying to do a little more food stuff, it's like, I find that like, people are very scared of processed things. I know they're terrible. I know they're going to rot our guts out, but like a large portion of the world has no choice but to eat processed food, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think there's definitely like an elitist sort of classist way to think about processed foods. I certainly think if everyone could eat fresh vegetables and well-made things all the time, that they'd physically and maybe mentally and spiritually feel better. But I also think, there's food that exists in the world and there's people who need to eat. And I don't think we should be like creating any more hardships to like food security or people getting food than there already is in the world. So I feel like the battle of like processed foods versus fresh foods is a very like elitist, very white, very like, you know, I think people
100%.
People need to eat what they can, you know.
Exactly.
What they want to, obviously, but also like availability and scarcity is sort of like it's just a big question. There's a lot to think about there rather than just saying processed foods are bad. It's like, think about where you are and stuff. So.
And one of my teachers wrote something about how like, you guys, like, I know it seems like a big deal and like, I know it's connected to all these other things, but what we eat is kind of like the least important thing about our spiritual journey. Now, plenty of people push back against this because I eat meat. I eat all sorts of stuff. And it was funny. It's like, I don't like triggering people too. Sometimes when I put chicken wings, I was doing a reading with someone today and I had a big thing of poutine on the green screen and I could tell, and they were like, can you like, I'm lactose intolerant. Can you like change the background?
Yeah. Wow.
But I think, but I love this because it's like, connection, right? Sharing, right? Like sustainability. If we could activate sustainable networks of food, service, and production and distribution, then maybe it would be possible for people to not eat so much fucking processed food, right? Yeah. Well, you have a lot of really, like I said, you put these unique little things in it, but I know, I think one of the other ways that you bring a lot of healing to people is Portland's a relatively small town and yet a relatively huge restaurant town, right?
Yeah, so, it's pretty saturated.
So do you have, so how do you in such a like fast-paced, summertime seasonal place, like how do you make sure that you're supporting healing in the community as opposed to just sort of like feeding everyone and then like sleeping for the winter?
Yeah, it's hard. It's definitely hard. I am constantly trying to figure out how to be better at that or do it in a way that makes me feel like I'm doing something for other people. It's funny how making food that people buy and enjoy doesn't always feel like you're doing something for someone. It can kind of turn into this like snake that eats its own tail kind of a feeling at times. And so that's why sometimes it's really important to me that people know where we get our food, but I also don't like being preachy about it. Like, as per the conversation we were having a minute ago, like, it's not the only thing that matters, but what does matter are the people. And in Maine, there's a ton of farms. There's a huge agriculture business here. And there's also a lot of immigrants, and a lot of the farms are, if not owned by immigrants. There's a lot of immigrant farming, farmer training programs.
Oh, wow.
And like CSAs and stuff like that are just like amazing for getting people, like new American farmers, they come here and they know how to farm already because they've been doing it. So it's a way to just like immediately become a part of the community.
Amazing.
So there's a few farms like that we try to buy from. There's a really great organization called Cultivating Community that they do a ton of stuff, including a lot of work with new American farmers, but also education and accessibility programs with teens and
so are these places that people could donate money to as well?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, yes. Great. So we're going to post all those links and make sure that everybody knows how to support these places.
So we try to buy as many vegetables and fruits as we can from local farms, especially farms like that. But that's a pretty small, that's like a small drop in the bucket, but you're reminding me of something. So Briana used to work at my family's restaurant, and then we worked together at a restaurant in the Hamptons for a little while as she was, bopping all over the place and working at these amazing places in Brooklyn. And, we both grew up on Martha's Vineyard. But what occurs to me is that, restaurants are actually run
as public health institutions. That's why we have health departments and all of these assholes that come and regulate our lives when we're working in a restaurant. But also, in some of the businesses you and I have worked in together have been very high volume, and Tandem is huge in the summer, high volume. And it's so interesting. It reminds me of this person that I knew who used to basically work with companies, and this is terrible business practice, but he would go to a company and be like, I can get this one piece on your assembly line made in China for 3 cents as opposed to this piece, which costs you 17 cents. So I can save you 14 cents on every single piece of this stuff that you do. Yeah. And what's fucked up about that is that it's the opposite. They're creating more waste and more fossil fuels and getting it made in China so that then it has to get shipped here, and it just creates all this extra stuff. But it's interesting because what I think sometimes people don't understand about food service is that it never stops. It's always going. You can't just not care about what's in the fridge one night, because if it goes bad, it doesn't just stink, it kills someone, Yeah,
no, it's a pretty intense cycle to get into.
So I think what I'm appreciating and what I'm learning from you is that it's on the job training no matter what you do. Very few businesses are actually perfectly sustainable because it's really hard to do a certain amount of numbers without throwing a bunch of shit away, and that's why there's so many places that give food to the hungry and that, redistribute and repurpose these things. But, I always said that when I used to want to go down an exclusively food related path, that it would be what else can we do but try to change the system from the inside once we're already working in a business that needs to throw away rubber gloves every once in a while, because I can't be sticking my fingers in your biscuits.
Yeah, exactly. As much as
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
As much as we would like you to.
There was a really funny moment from that Milk Street clip where Chris Kimball called out how you were touching everything, and you were you got to touch this and you got to feel that. And I love that you said that you don't. Yeah, you'll use a toothpick, but I'd rather
touch it.
Yeah, I saw on the Great British Bake Off the other day this one on the new season. The one kid Peter was yeah, I like to listen to my cakes. You don't buy that?
Get me started on Peter.
Do you like him or you don't like him?
That guy should have gone home ages ago. He's always crying. He doesn't. It's he's never lost anything in his life. He's it's no one's ever said no to him. No,
that's very much how it feels. It feels he's doing the Great British Bake Off like he's running track. No.
I'm not okay. I'm not okay with him. It should have been him. Mark should still be there.
Oh, Mark. Mark was cute. Well, so let me see. What else? So one more question, and then I'm going to actually start drawing your AuraPic in just a moment. But I want to ask you, how have you felt this week? Have you felt weird at all this week? How's this week been for you with all the astrology that's been going on? What's going on?
It's been really up and down for me this week. Everything's changing. Things are changing. I hired a new baker to add another baker to the baking staff at Tandem, and that's been really amazing. She just started, but she's awesome, and I think she's going to fit in really well with myself and the woman who is sort of my right-hand woman, my kitchen manager, who's literally the reason that I'm still alive, basically. And she's so some of her workload is going to ease and some of my workload is going to ease, and hopefully I'll start to have the kind of schedule that I've been trying to have for a year, but it feels really crazy. How are we going to get it done? How are we going to go from not knowing how it's going to happen to it happening? Do you know what I mean?
Aren't you also in Thanksgiving hell right now? Are you already baking pies?
We are, but it's also confusing. What does it mean now? What are people doing? Are they gathering? Do we want to promote them gathering? No. It's a mess. It's a mess.
It's so weird. It's you can only buy a pie from Tandem if you promise to eat it by yourself.
What? Normally we make a few hundred. I think what we're doing this year is just tamping it down a little bit. And, you know, just, we don't want to not sell people pies. You know, I have some personal feelings about the holiday itself, you know.
I mean, I was like, I'm low key waiting till next week to talk about this when we're a little bit closer to it. But like, it's so wild that with everything that's happened for me this year, I've been saying for ages, you know, for many years, like this holiday's fucked up, but I still get in a fucking car.
It should be gone.
It should be gone. But you know what? Usually humans don't work like that. I think what it should be is it should be a holiday where we are thankful for Native Americans exclusively. Like
exclusively. Give all your money to indigenous organizations.
100%.
It's crazy. Why do we do it? And the worst part is, I'm sorry, but the worst part is when people are like, but it's really just about celebrating with my family. It's really just about coming together.
Yeah, it's
do that any other day.
You can do it any other day, and on those days, you're most likely not going to be dealing with bloat and football and needing like 6 naps. You know me, I worked every Thanksgiving for my whole fucking adolescence, so like it's no love lost on this part, you know. Yeah. But I think again, it's similar to what we were talking about Tandem, which is that like these things, nobody's going to cancel Thanksgiving exclusively right now. No. So it actually becomes up to us, witches and healers, to reclaim and redirect and just be like this. And that's how I always felt, even on Instagram, on socials and stuff. I always felt like, okay, we're going to casually and subtly be like, this holiday is kind of trash. But now I'm like, what are you doing?
Mind-boggling. You're right. It's got to happen gradually because that's the only way we can handle it, I guess. It's like we can't abolish the police. We have to defund them first. But I am hopeful that within 5 years, maybe Thanksgiving can be somewhat canceled.
I firmly believe it, and I think we got to do it on the job, on the job training.
So at Tandem, we're donating a portion of all pie sales to Four Directions, which is an organization that helps to promote, sustain, and heal like the financial viability of individuals within the Penobscot tribes. It's like, you know, it's like home buying loans and stuff like that. Just like shit that's really hard, you know.
So good. So brilliant, because, you know, at the end of the day, like thoughts and prayers don't help very much at this point.
Yeah.
You know, let's throw some cash down, you know, let's actually do it.
Money, man. Fucking money.
Fucking money, man.
Fucking money.
Let's see. Is there anything else that needs to be asked at this point? I think we're going to open up to your AuraPic, okay?
Woo! I'm nervous and excited.
It is kind of exciting and nerve-wracking, but remembering that the AuraPics. Oh, you know what? I wanted to remind everyone too, anybody who's watching, that we do have, for this new moon tonight, the Edible Spirit Foodie Scopes, which are up on IGTV. So if you want more insider information into the Mercury retrograde, into this new moon moment, you can find that on IGTV. We're going to post all the links from Briana on Instagram and in our YouTube feed. But for now, my dears and my loves, let's do this business in for Brie. Okay. Here you are, my angel. Okay, so what's fun about the AuraPics project? Oh, this is dope. I was not expecting it, but you kind of knew in giving me a nice big canvas to work with. People are usually worried that they have too much, that they have too much clutter, but you'll see. I was
worried there's no, you know me, I have a lot of stuff. There was no totally clear space in my
Oh, interesting. Okay, so these are 2 dope colors that you're getting right off the bat. The first one is a lemony yellow, and the second one is an indigo blue. Look, they're not coming in close to your, I mean, they are touching your center. So this is very much happening. I mean, this is the aura of someone who is like roiling in their bones and low-key writhing in their skin.
It's me. I'm doing that.
Like, that's what it sounds and feels like. Okay. Okay, so there's beautiful little teaching that we're going to come to in just a second, which is that around your very center, around your solar plexus, there's this square. I'm going to tell you what all this means in just a moment. There's this beautiful orange right around your guts. Okay, so we'll just talk about this first, and then we'll see what else there is to see.
Okay.
So yellow in the AuraPics project is learning. It's about the solar plexus. It's about power. It's about learning through conflict, right? Learning through challenges. Are you a lefty or a righty? I can't remember.
Righty.
Okay, great. So learning through challenges. It's on the right side of your body, which is the active, expressive side of it, the side that stuff goes out from. Mm-hmm. So this tells us that you are, and it's on the outer layers of your aura, right? Which is why I said to you, even though it's touching the inside, it almost feels like a change is going to come, is like playing off in the distance, but you can't quite hear it. And yet it's approaching. When something shows up on the outside of the aura, it means it's coming to you as opposed to coming from you. So what's interesting is there's a sort of trial by fire here where you are very much, this could even be connected to the organizational stuff you were talking about with the bakery, which is like, no, make no mistake, you got to get your shit snatched as much as possible, because how else can you care for yourself and do your dharma, do your service and give back if you're not snatched in terms of your scheduling and foundation and your inventory and all those kind of basic things, right? So, and yet what this says to us is it says that bitches have been trying you, right? That you've been butting your head up against challenges and walls, but the other side of this, it's very cool. So blue, this deep, dark indigo navy blue, is about learning through theory as opposed to learning through practice. And this is coming into you. And whenever a color like this shows up in even a small amount, I say to people, remember your teachers. Who are your teachers? Who are your spirit animals? Who do you look up to? Who is I was going to say baker, but spirit wouldn't let me say baker. Who is the creator that you most will to emulate, right? Who do you want to be like? And it could be a baker, but it could also be like Schiaparelli. Like, I don't care. It doesn't need to be logical. It's theoretical. You can imagine a pastry chef who uses, Frank Lloyd Wright as their teacher here. It's like they're going to make something very sugary and architectural and this and that and the other thing. This is actually reminding me of a reading I had with a baker friend a really long time ago who blew up, right? We'll just leave it there in a great way. If you don't know what to be faithful to, you got nothing. If you don't have an ethos, you got nothing. And the ethos is it's a way of doing things. I think there might even be something in what we were saying earlier, which is just like you give these beautiful nods to tradition, but yet you tweak them and you twerk them and you work with them. Like, I'm getting all these other non-food references. Like, what would it mean for you to emulate Georgia O'Keeffe for a minute in your baking or in your life or in your work or maybe in your art, whatever it is. But the idea here is that your teachers, your wise ones are trying to get through to you. They're trying to inspire you and stimulate you. And a lot of times when there's this much yellow, it can feel like we have something to prove about ourselves. Like we got to go into the world and accomplish something. And I would much more rather use here the analogy of stewardship of wisdom and stewardship of information, right? Even as I'm thinking of it, it's fun because I never thought about it like this, but like there is a bit of a British element to what you do, but maybe it's a New Englandy element, that because you love these quick breads and biscuits and drop things and pies and scones. It's very much like, I always think of the ag fair when I think of you, the agricultural fair on Martha's Vineyard, So the theory would be just like, there's more than one spirit teacher trying to bring information through to you here. So that's why I say to you, what is the ethos? And rather than thinking, what's my brand or how do I market myself or what do I do? you think, who are the ancestors that came before me? Who are the wise ones that came before me? And who do I have a resonance with? And how can I do them justice? How could I make a boeuf bourguignon that made Julia Child weep, that made her proud? So think about those kinds of teachers that you have, because as we go deeper into the middle of your aura, there's orange there. And orange is actually the color of the pussy chakra. And exactly. I don't think I'm putting you on blast by just saying I feel you have a very healthy relationship with your pussy chakra.
I do.
Yes, you do. Mama knows what she likes.
I'm very familiar with it.
So that color of orange is experimental, exploratory, stimulating, sensual. It breathes. It's associated with the element water, as opposed to the solar plexus, which is about fire and activity and projection and accomplishment and force and all that stuff. You have the color of the flowiness in your solar plexus. And you see how it's sort of amorphous. It hasn't quite crystallized. It's not quite as linear as the other aspects of your aura. I think this is a big healing that's happening for you, and that's going to work itself out over the next 2 to 3 weeks, which is when you make a choice in your life, what do you make a choice based on? Do you make a choice based on, or when you make a choice on your path or your career in your life, do you make a choice based on where you want it to go, or where you think it will go, or what you think it will do, or because it's the right thing? Or do you have a standard for making a decision or not, right? This is the center of choice. And it sort of is showing someone who has, it's interesting because that's Mikey actually stepping in. I know you, we would go to restaurants back in the day, and you would have a nervous breakdown when trying to order it, just wouldn't be possible. But that's actually not this. This is not saying figure out what you really want and better make it good and it better be able to go all the way. It's not saying that.
Right. That's a fear I feel whenever I make a choice.
And this is why the orange is coming into your guts, because it's saying, can you choose? Can you identify? Also solar plexus, self-concept. Can you build yourself up around something flowier, freer, fun? Can you ask yourself the question before you make this choice? How does it feel in my gut? How does it feel in my pussy? As opposed to, how do I think about it?
Yeah.
Or where do I think it's going to go? Because what this message says is it says it wants you to make decisions with your gut as though you're making decisions with your pussy. Okay?
Yeah.
The problem with making decisions just with your pussy is that, especially as a multi-orgasmic being, you could just keep making the same decision and coming and coming and coming. And that feels great for a while. And then eventually you're like, I need a new flavor.
Yeah.
I got to go for something else. So it's just to remember that it's possible to rely too much on the pussy chakra, sacral chakra, orange chakra when making decisions. But if your decision-making process is somewhere else, then it's actually a really nice thing to do, because it can kind of lighten things up. And very simply put, can you make decisions based on what you think will feel, or how what you intuit will feel the best? It's still going to be a gamble. It's still going to be a crapshoot. But there's a really good chance that if it satisfies you, it will satisfy others. I didn't get to go to the end of the Christopher Kimball video. Are we done, Spirit? Yeah, I might need to talk about it again in a second, but I'm just going to stop the share for a second. I didn't get to go all the way to the end of the oh wait, hold on.
Where did you go?
Where did I go? I don't know where I went. Bossy Stas.
Bossy Stas, where are you? Oh!
Am I back?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I didn't get to go to the end of the Chris Kimball video, because what was dope about it was that you straight up moaned over your cake.
I do it every time he's filming me eat something. It's so embarrassing. I do it every time.
But here's the thing. Why would you serve someone something that didn't make you want a nut?
Right? It's gotta be, you gotta say something or make a sound.
You gotta do that. And I think there's something here, which is you live that way, but could you potentially make decisions that way?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's tricky though. It's just tricky because like you said, sometimes I decide I want to make a decision based on it being the correct decision. Mm-hmm. And sometimes something is really good for a while and then something has to change because it's not going to stay really good. You know, like you're not going to eat that cake for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And so understanding that you can then choose to do so, you know what I mean? Like that's where it gets hard for me.
But I think what's interesting about this, it's not actually in the AuraPic. It was why I didn't want to end it, because what's interesting in the AuraPic is I was like, well, where does she make decisions from? And my attention actually gets drawn. I want to go, is it the head? Does she get too stuck in her head? But what I would say, based on just looking at this AuraPic, it's a result of when you go into your head, or maybe even when you go into your heart, you get caught up between this back and forth of like, what do I need to do and what do I need to honor?
Yeah.
Where is my fidelity and where is my freedom? Where is my tradition and where is my explosion? You know, and so I would say that could cause you to get stuck just about anywhere. It could cause you to get stuck in your head. It could cause you to get stuck in your gut. It could cause you to get stuck wherever. But I'm just saying, based on the orange in your pussy gut, right? The orange pussy color in your gut chakra, it's probably not as big of a deal as it feels like it is, right? And yet, I think what's great and cool about what we got out of the AuraPic today is like, you're not gonna get to where you need to go by trying to go there. You get where you need to go by honoring those who came before you. And even if you never tell a soul about who you're trying to impress on the other side, it's better if they're dead, right? Yeah. It's better if they're dead. Even if nobody knows, you no longer are trying to, you know, please your customers or impress your colleagues or whatever. You're existing in a sacred spiritual dialogue between yourself and your, you know, your ascended baking wise one, right? And it literally just becomes, I've given this to people in readings before where it's like, what would so-and-so do instead of what would Jesus do? It happened way back in the day with this architect I was reading, and it was like, what would Pythagoras do? I didn't know he was an architect at the time. I was like, Pythagoras is like all around you, all over the place. I was like, I've never had Pythagoras come up in a reading. And he was like, I'm an architect, right? So we worked on building an altar to Pythagoras and gave him a meditation practice to sit with Pythagoras every day and just open himself to intuition and to messages and to guidance and whatever. But the thing is you have such a busy schedule and you are working so consistently that I'm not expecting you to sit down in front of an altar to, you know, Mary Berry, you know, but if you have a really big, you know, wise one that you can imagine sort of putting on that, it could be a relative too, it doesn't really matter. But the idea becomes you end up focusing yourself because that's the only person you're trying to impress or emulate.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we are nearly done here this evening. I know we're like 5 minutes from the end. I had a couple callers in the room, but I missed them because we were on such a yummy roll. So I guess no callers today, no Zoomers today. I'm so grateful to you for doing this. The last thing we do on this is we talk about yumminess. We talk about something that is yummy, that is terrestrial, that is of the earth plane. I think I'm gonna sneeze. That's not how I sneeze. Oh, little known fact about Briana. She sneezes, laughs, and signs her name completely differently every time. Aquarian motherfucking realness. She's like, you don't know me.
The sneezing has gotten bad. It's like I sound like I don't even know. I sound like a bellows in a stone church, like out over a bay. I mean, it's like enormous sounds.
So what is of this earth at this time on this plane that is so good it makes you feel divine?
Anything.
Anything. It could be anything. It could be, the example I often give people is it could be something, culinary. It could be one person back in the day gave us chanting, because they were doing a lot of chanting, walking through nature, this, that, and the other thing.
I mean, my heart wants to say two things.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing would be mezcal.
Have you been drinking a lot of mezcal?
I love it, and I drink a lot of it. Right now, I've been drinking this brand.
Oh yeah,
is really good. It's really good because it's so delicious, and it's not crazy expensive. They make a few different kinds. They have some, this one is a little bit of a blend, and then they have some single origins, but they all taste they're all differently tasting. And I just love tequila in general, but mezcal I love so much. I find it to be both tart and bright, and like up here on the scale of like vibration, and also very like low and deep flavored and deep feeling. I mean, it is, it is like in the agave is like underground, like roasted. But it's so good, and I love it, and I drink a lot of it.
I agree with you, and it gives you an interesting kind of hangover, doesn't it? It's like not like tequila, but it's not like whiskey either. I've never been.
I don't really get hungover if I drink mezcal.
No, that's what I mean. Like I don't feel the same as when I drink those other things. I feel like I end up just feeling like sort of warm and kind of done the next day, but not actually like, what happened.
To me, mezcal is like the mushrooms, like of the drug. It's like
it's the mushrooms of the alcohol world.
To drugs, like it's like taking mushrooms. It feels so good, and it feels like you're doing something nice for yourself, and you don't usually feel that bad during or after.
Have you ever gotten wasted on absinthe?
No, I've had absinthe, but I've never gotten drunk.
Who cares?
Terrible.
Right?
No good?
No, I've never gotten drunk from it. It's like I've never been like, oh my God, it's the Green Fairy. Wow. Don't care.
Just as an aside, the other thing that's been making me feel really divine is the Harry Styles song Sunflower.
Oh, she's a sunflower, Miss Harry.
Dude,
I haven't heard it.
He's so beautiful. The album is like, I mean, I could take it or leave it. There's like a couple songs that are great. I love him. He's wonderful. I want him to keep going and getting weirder and weirder and better and better. Yeah. But the song Sunflower on the new album is like, it just, I can't quit. I can't quit.
Right. I'm going to listen to it. When we're done here. Yeah. I'm just going to share, just because I want everybody to see. This is the spread from this Moon Cycles Foodie Scope. So these are the different snacks that are associated. Oh, this is how we're going to end it. Briana, you're giving me life right now. These are the different snacks. We see the braised shanks in the top. This one on the lower quadrant, it's beans, but the actual snack there is the beano that you eat before you eat something that you know is not going to agree with you. But Briana actually, as an Aquarius, is the croquembouche on the very bottom. So I just want to share the totality of if you were a snack, you'd be, because that's what we've been doing with these. Every 2 weeks they come out, new moon and full moon. Today's the new moon. Briana, Aquarius, if you were a snack, you'd be a homemade croquembouche that was supposed to be the finishing piece of a big celebration, only you worked so hard on the croquembouche that you didn't have time to make apps or entrees. It could have been a big fucking mess, but as your guests arrived, they did so just in time to help dip the puffs in candy caramel and help you to assemble the tower. Everyone participates, enjoys, works up an appetite, and then you all eat the whole thing. couldn't have turned out better if you had planned it from start to finish. So that's just the snack portion of your horoscope, of your foodie scope. But it was really basically all about what you were talking about this week, which is, you know, you feel like something's coming. The trick here is actually to not practice the learning through conflict. You want to practice learning through theory. Let yourself dream into space, dream into the future, you know, envision, you know, who you want to be sitting elbow to elbow with, right? In the pantheon of the pastry peoples, right? That's a spiritual lineage, right? Pastry is a spiritual lineage, my love. And that's what I'm saying is, if you don't identify exclusively as a pastry chef, then what is your lineage? Who's the leader of it? Who's the teacher of it? So sorry, I didn't mean to end it with a reading like that, but.
No, I like it.
Okay, good. I just wanted to share that with everybody so that they know that their foodie scopes are up on IGTV as well. Oh, and my point is this is yumminess for me, because like I spent like 8 hours over the last 2 days taping, writing, taping, recording, posting these foodie scopes. Fucking nightmare, could have been, but it felt so good. And the response has been so wonderful to them that it really does give us life. And it's this just great example of doing something that requires a lot of energy, but when you know why you're doing it and who you're doing it for, it makes quick work, you know? So check your foodie scopes out. We will post all sorts of links so that you can support the wonderful causes that Briana is working with and the networks that she's working with in Maine. If you find yourself in Portland, Maine, because you are already there, I hope you're not driving there or traveling there.
Don't come here.
Don't come there. Their takeout window is open next summer. You can hopefully go there and hang out and chill and just gorge yourself on the deliciousness that is Tandem Coffee Roasters and the queen, the HBIC, the head baker in charge, Mademoiselle Briana Holt. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. I love you, and this is an honor.
You're the best. Take good care of yourself. Thank you to everybody for tuning in. Let's just play us out. Bye, buddy.
Bye. Love you. Bye.
We're just ending. There we go.